Alright, DDD family, welcome to another episode, and it's going to be a pretty interesting episode this time. So we're kind of going back to our old roots, back in the day when I used to do installs and stuff on my car, and I've strayed away from that, and I want to try to get back into it a little bit. So if you see behind me, and if you follow my social media, you see I got the 6th gen lights for the 5th gen Camaro, and today we're going to be doing a video on how you get these to turn into that. We're going to do the RGB boards and the 6th gen light for a 5th gen. I'm going to take you step by step on how to do that, and it's going to be a fun time. Like I said, it's pretty awesome. I think it looks good. I still have my setup. I've done the RGB boards and my other halo lights for the 5th gen. No, I'm not selling those. I'm going to keep them. This is more so just so I can learn how to do this, just in case anybody wants me to do it for them. I can take care of them and do all that stuff. I got my supplies from RGB SHELBY. So the boards come in the regular lights like this, and they're just like plain white, as you can see right there. That's how they are. They come with wires. You power and ground them. That's how that works. So everybody, I'm sure, know RGB SHELBY off Instagram, YouTube, and everything. So I bought the halo rings for him. Let me take out the pack so you guys can really see it. So I bought the halo rings, and I got the RGB boards. I also upgraded to the wireless controller because I felt like that would be a better option instead of using that actual like little remote control that you can probably lose. I felt like the Bluetooth wireless controller would be the best option to go with. But if you followed me on my TikTok, which is the same thing, ScottyBig42, you'd have seen I posted a little sneak peek of those, released it early just so people can check them out. These are not fully assembled. I just have it on the table. Let me lower you guys down a little bit. So as you can see, I got the halo ring on the inside, and then I got the boards behind it. The front actually is still loose. I haven't fully assembled it. I just have it put together so I can show you guys, but we're gonna go through the actual steps on the other light together. So the lens is off and everything, already baked it off, and everything's just sitting in there. But I have this screwed down so I can't show you the back, but we're gonna go over all of that with the camera back. We're gonna go over all of that when we take this one apart. So the stuff you need is very simple stuff. You need a flathead screwdriver, you need your oven. So to get the lenses off with newer lights, it's 250 degrees, and I put them in there for about 12 minutes. 12 minutes made them pop off really easily, and that's just with the newer lights. I know with my other lights it was a little bit longer, but the same temperature. You just let them sit in there. Nothing's gonna burn or anything as long as you pay attention. But 250 for about 12 minutes, and then the lens will be baked off. So we're gonna get all this stuff cleared out. You're gonna only need a screwdriver, a drill, a small drill bit. You need a flathead and a Phillips, because there's a couple screws you gotta take off to actually pull all this stuff apart after you bake it open. But also with these, when you get them brand new, you have to take this front little lip off right here, which we're gonna go over, because that would probably melt because it's like a very thin plastic. But I'm gonna go ahead and get all this stuff cleared out, and I'll catch you guys in a little bit, and then we're gonna toss it in the oven, and I'm gonna show you how it looks like before I put it all in the oven, how it's gonna look. But like I said, we're gonna throw it in there for 12 minutes at 250 degrees. And let's go and get this project started. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you do, definitely smash that like button. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. This is gonna be pretty epic. Like I said, you're gonna get that from this. And like I said, I think this looks pretty good. A lot of people are against it because they're like, oh, just get a 6th gen if you want. I can afford a 6th gen, I'm sorry. And I like a lot more stuff on the 5th gen than the 6th gen, other than performance-wise, because of course 6th gen is awesome. But I think that looks pretty sick, and if you think it looks sick too, I'll link all the stuff in the description below where I got the lights. I got those off eBay. I'll link RGB SHELBY so you can order the kit from him if you want to try it out yourself. Or if anybody local around me wants me to do it for you, I can charge you and just get all the stuff, and we can work out a price and I can get it done for you. But let's go ahead and get all the stuff cleaned up, and then I'm going to get it in the oven. Alright, you guys, so we got this table cleared off a little bit. Sorry about the mess in my office. I've been working on some decals and shirts and stuff lately, so the office is a little bit of a mess. But so we got the regular headlight here. And so when you get it, it comes all the wires back here. You want to go ahead and remove this piece of paper because that will burn in the oven. So go ahead and just pull that off. Don't need no paper in the oven. Smoking up the house. All that good stuff. That good jazz. So, the first thing you want to do is take this little lip off. I don't know if you could see it in the other, but you want to take this little lip off. It has 3 Phillips screws in it. So we're going to go ahead and pull those off. And losing stuff. Like, I lose stuff, bolts, all the time. So I recommend getting like a Ziploc bag, which I'm about to go do. But you take those out, that pops right off. That is the first thing you have to do before you even think about throwing this in the oven. Because that will burn, and that will not be cool. And it'll melt, and then you wouldn't have that little guard piece. But yeah, I'm going to go grab a Ziploc bag. And like I said, we're going to throw this in the oven for 12 minutes. And we'll check on it. Like I said, it usually comes out and it's fine. Definitely, if you have heat gloves, use those. I use a towel or a rag or just a couple of shirts that I don't really care about just to grab it out. And we're going to go ahead and throw it in there. We're going to bring it back, and then we're going to go ahead and pull the lens off. And after that, I honestly think it's smooth sailing. But yeah, we do got to do some drilling. Like I said, I've done it to that one already that I showed you that has lights in it. And I did it to my old lights. So drilling, I feel like, is the most intimidating part. I think if you can get over the fact of drilling into these new lights, brand new, like I just got these maybe like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. I've just tested them out to make sure they work, and that's it. That's it. So you got to take that fear of drilling into something brand new and hoping it works out. But I'm going to show you guys along the way, so you don't have to be worried about that. But I don't want to bore you guys with this, so let me go ahead and throw this thing in the oven. And like I said, 250 for 12 minutes, and we're going to come back to it, and we're going to be here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It has been 12 minutes. Be careful when you grab it. You want to grab it from both sides because this plastic on the outside, it is also still warm. So you want to pull these clips back. There's little notches on them. You want to pull them back, stay clear. And you take a flathead, try to get in there a little bit. And you got to pry up an edge the best you can. Start prying it up. And it's still going to be a little bit rough, but not that bad. Just be careful because it is warm. You want to get one corner up really well. As you can see, the glue is starting to release. And then you just start gradually going around it. Go around the whole thing. Like I said, don't forget to pull the notches back too, because those will stop you from getting it up as well. Got a screwdriver. Help it out a little bit. You don't want to try to go too fast to try to break anything, but you slowly work your way around the whole light. That last notch. Boom, bam. There you go. Got your cover off. Lovely. And also, while it's still warm, you want to go ahead and try to take your flathead and go ahead and start scraping the glue on the inside. You want to get as much of that stuff out as you can, because when you reset this in there, you want it to be as clear as you can of the old glue, so it actually seals up nice. Because if you don't seal these things, they will get condensation and water in them, and it will damage your lights. So like I said, that's the scariest part of this whole situation. Everything else is, I feel like, is relatively easy, but I've done it before as well, so that's why it's not really much of a fear for me. But just take your time, go around the edges. While it's still warm, it's a lot easier. Also, I have a heat gun. I'm going to use that later to get the stuff off the edge of the lens. I'm not really too concerned about the lens because the lens is a little bit easier to work with. But this, you might as well, you don't want to have to reheat this whole thing again So while it's still warm, it's a lot easier to get it out while it's warm. Don't be like me, just get a regular flathead, because you see mine just keeps popping out the glue. But we're gonna go ahead and work this. I'm gonna go ahead and speed this time lapse up and get this glue out, and we can move on to the next step. Alright, you guys, so now that that fun is all over, I get a little bit of it out. There's still some in there, but I'm not really too concerned about it. We're gonna go ahead and goop it up real good with the silicone that I use for this, but I got majority of it out. So the next step is gonna remove these 4 bolts, or these 4 Phillips heads right here. So I'm gonna switch back to the Phillips. There's 4 of them right there to remove the face of this. And just so you guys know, like those wires I showed you, they run through this little hole right here. Remember that, because we're gonna use this hole for later. But they just run through this little hole, and it has like 2 holes inside of it that it slides in and out of. So we're gonna go ahead and remove these. So the glue is gonna be on the back side of that as well, so it's gonna be a little bit tough to get it off. Not very tough, but just slowly pull on it. Make sure all your little screws are loose. I'm gonna pull on it, pull that glue up some more. And this will give you a little bit more access with the heat gun later, where you can go in and scrape some more out. So you're gonna pull it up, and that's gonna remove the face. The wires are gonna be toward the boards, and they're gonna slide through those little holes that it's on to pull this all out. And there you go. You got the face off for the DRLs. So this is where the DRLs are, right here. Uh-oh. Be careful. Don't be like me and drop the screws. Okay, I can see it, so we're good. So basically, the boards are back here. They're attached right there. And that's where our replacement boards are going to be. So we're going to go ahead and get all these out. Flip it over. Pop out these screws. That one didn't want to come out. So, like I said, get a Ziploc bag. It's always good to have one of these. Store everything in. I'll get that one in a second. That's down there. And let me work this one out a little bit. Toss it in here. And there you go. So on the back, each DRL has 3 screws as well. We're going to pull those out because we don't need these boards anymore. So go ahead and grab these out. I learned how to do this by watching like 3 different videos on YouTube, and none of them showed all of the steps, which is why I wanted to make this video, so I can show you guys. Like, people like cutting out, and I'll cut out in some parts, but like I really want to see all the steps, and that's why I'm here showing you guys, so you can see what I'm doing all the way through, so there's no confusion, no question. And basically, like the DRLs, how they're laid out, it can only go in one way, so you'll kind of know by the time when you pull these out and get the new ones to put on them, you'll know which way they go. It can only lay in one way, but throw those in the bag, pull these out, and there you go. Your white DRLs are out now. So, like I said, I ordered all my parts from RGBW. I'll have him linked below. It's camarolighting.net, I believe. And like I said, I got the Optimum package where you get the boards and the halo rings. So the way this setup goes is it's a little bit tight on the fitment, honestly, so like you kind of have to hold it, but basically your wires are going to go in like this. Zoom down on it. You're going to place this here. You'll follow where the holes are, get that lined up. You have to bend this one in a little bit. Get the hose lined up. And like I said, it's going to be a tight fit because that's just how it was for me. Just because how the wires are. But I like to go ahead and get it in where the holes are. Put a little bit of pressure up here to get it to fit snug up there. Make sure all your holes are lined up. And I go ahead and start putting them in. I don't put them all the way in so they can still adjust if necessary. But I go ahead and start getting them ran in. And just tighten it up enough so that it doesn't like pop out on you. A couple turns. And then you grab your other bolts, the other screws. And they're all like different, like the really small ones, of course, are gonna go right here. You'll kind of be able to tell the difference. It's really easy. Then you go ahead and mount this one up. Like I said, right here, this little is gonna crinkle a little bit or bend a little bit to work, but that's just how I see it fits, honestly. So you're gonna get those all lined up. I always try to get this bottom one done first because it's the one that gives you like the most pressure with that wire having to bend to its will to fit. Tighten that down a little bit. And this is the part that, like, I've seen people use those little tube lights, which I don't necessarily like because I feel like those are cheaply made and I feel like those would fail. I wanted the boards and I searched for a long time, and my buddy Will helped me actually find these, and they were out of stock, so I had to actually message RGB Shelby, and the same night I messaged him, he luckily got a shipment in, so I snuck in at the right time. So go ahead and tighten these down. Alright, so everything looks pretty good, so we're going to go ahead and fully just go ahead and tighten these down and just install them, because they all look ready. I've tested all these lights already. Like I said, whenever you get the package, his instructions say make sure you test your lights before installation. But I'll go ahead and actually hook it up for you guys in a second as well. I still have the controller and everything hooked to the other one, but I can pull it off real quick and show you guys if they're still working. So, got this little knife. Cut this real quick. Get that wire cut. So, we got it installed. You can't see anything up front, but we got it installed. Got the bolts in. The boards are on. I'm going to grab this controller and stuff from this one. Alright, so go ahead and grab this, connect the controller. So with these lights, I've done RGB lights before, and I thought that you can just ground it and put power to it and then to give it power. No. You don't have the controller. If you opt in for the controller, it will not turn them on. Like, you have to have the controller. It gives it the signal. So I have my little jump box here, so go ahead and put ground to it. Power. Turn it on, and voila. There's your DRL lights. Boom. That is, I feel like, the easiest part. So now, this is going to be where it gets a little fun. So the hardest part, like I said, I feel like is going to be drilling. So for the DRLs, or not the DRL, the halos, they're going to sit in here like so. You want the wire at 12 o'clock. You're going to set them in there like so. So I've seen on other people's videos, they use like a very thin wire and they drill like 6 holes in here to make it work. I don't necessarily like that. I feel like you're going to see it if you look hard enough, and that's not cool with me. I don't like that. This 3M tape on the back, honestly, I feel like it's garbage, so I pull it all off. It's like, nope, not doing that. I use Gorilla Tape. I bought 60-pound Gorilla Tape because I feel like it works better than the regular 3M tape that comes on there, because I've had 3M tape on stuff and it just fell right off. Let's stick into that. Alright, so 3M or Gorilla Tape, 60-pound right here. I use that. So what I do is I actually cut like a small piece, probably maybe 3 inches, if that, and then I'll slice it, and then I'll run it along the ring, because I feel like it'll work out better that way. I've had better luck with it. That's what I did with my other lights, and they've been on there for a couple years, so I'm pretty sure it works. I feel like it's been 2 years since they've been on there and haven't fall off. But you have to put a really decent angle on it, like close to the edge, because this is actually bowed, so it's going to be hard for it to actually stick. It's not a flat surface. So when you put it on the edge of the ring is going to sit on the edge of here, and it's just going to connect there. I also use, I know it's kind of crazy that I talk about 3M's tape sucking, but I use 3M adhesive promoter. This thing will save your life. I learned about this from my buddy Will as well. He taught me about 3M adhesive promoter. It helps with most of my stuff in my car, or the vinyl stuff. But this stuff will save your life. So you wipe it around the edge, which we're going to do. We're going to get to that. I actually got to go get my drill and the drill bit so I can show you guys. Like I said, this is the part that sucks. But on my other headlights, I had to drill the actual housing. On these, we're going to use the hole that the DRL wires came out of. We're going to use that, and that kind of makes it easy. But this is where sealing it is like most important. Sealing is the hardest part of any kind of RGB situation, because I've heard of people getting some that leak, and that definitely sucks. So let me go ahead and get my drill set up and everything, and then we're going to come back and I'll show you guys how to do that. Alright, you guys, and now we are back. So got my little Walmart drill. I start with I only use a 5/30 seconds drill bit, and you want to drill at the 12 o'clock on the little circle here. So what you're trying to fit through here is, let me find it. Here's the ring. Some people like to unclip those and do all that. I don't like doing that. It freaks me out. I feel like I'm gonna mess something up. So you have to fit this through a hole. Yeah, it sucks how big you gotta be. But that's where sealing comes in handy. So we're gonna go ahead and drill at 12 o'clock. I'm gonna start kind of like on the inside lip. That's what I did with the last one. And we're gonna just stretch it out to where you can slide that through. So it's not that thick, so it doesn't take that long. See, there you go. Make sure you be mindful of keeping your hands clear. But got that, smoked that hole right there in the 12. And then I just kind of like put a little bit pressure left and right. I don't want to talk while the drill's going. You're probably not going to hear me. So put a little bit of pressure left and right and kind of move it and widen it out so that you can get the hole big enough so you can force that thing through. You want to clean these little burrs up. Definitely. It's going to get all in, like right there on the light. It's going to get all in there. You want to clean all that up. I have compressed air that I'm going to use to get it all cleaned up, but let's go ahead and get it stretched out so we can get it in and out of the hole. Alrighty then, my GoPro actually died on me in the middle of getting that drilled out, but we got the hole big enough now. It's in there. You don't got to worry about it. Whenever it's in the car, you're never going to see that. So, and like I said, the silicone we're going to be using is going to be black. It's ultra black RTB silicone. So we'll get that done. So let's go ahead and get this cut. I hate those things, are so tight. But so the way this is going to go on, I'm just going to mock it up for you guys so you can see. You're going to force that through that hole. We got it decently cleaned up right now. Like I said, I got everything cleared out of the way, all those burrs. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take these few strips I have already cut. You don't want them to be like super wide, but you want them to be big enough that they'll still be tucked behind the ring, but still make a difference when they're on. They're dark gray, so you're not really going to see them, but we're going to run it all the way around the ring basically. Let it as flat as you can. Don't try to put too much pressure on the LEDs. Me personally, I've never broke one, but don't want to try either. So this Gorilla Tape, like I said, is 60 pounds. It's pretty good. I'm going to cut this one in half. Like I said, I've used it on my other lights and it's worked out for me. So make sure they're all secured really good. Rub them in a little bit. Then I'll take my knife and go ahead and remove the backing off of it. I do this so it's a little bit easier for whenever you actually apply the promoter to the lens, that you can just go ahead and pop that on. So we're going to pull this off. I'm sorry if this video is like too long for you guys. I just wanted to show you guys every step to take, because every video I watch they've kind of skipped steps, and I know it's probably to make sure the video is not super long, but if you're like me, you kind of want to see every step and I have to question it. So go ahead and open up this adhesive promoter, and this one's a sponge. Some of them come in a liquid form, but this one's just like a wet sponge. I basically wipe it around the rim of the lens, and it lays a layer on there. And you can put this back in the pouch and kind of save it for other things. Not necessarily like you need anything right now, but I'm gonna run the wire back, make sure it's at 12 o'clock sticking up there, and then you're just gonna go ahead and find a way where it nests in there nicely. Get in there nice and snug. Center it up, and you have to put a little bit of pressure on it. Make sure it's sitting on the actual lens, and it takes a second for the promoter to kick in for it to stick as good as it will. Like I said, you put it on the edge so you can make sure it actually sticks down in there. So, and we'll test these lights as well after we're done getting it stuck on. You want to test multiple times. Like, testing is going to be your best friend. You want to test this stuff out multiple times before you completely seal it, just in case you have any issues. You don't have it all put back together and have to rebake it open. And that's always been a stress for me, like if something goes wrong about rebaking it open. I think it'll be the same basic like process. Like, I think it'll be basically the same. And like I'm just always worried about wires melting, but everything is pretty much prepared for the heat it's made for it. So I'm sure if you had any issues, you can throw it back in. But you can see, pull on it, tug on it a little bit, it's fine. You don't want to tug on it too much. But now that we got that installed, let's go ahead and hook it up to the controller just like the other light is, just to make sure everything is working out fine. Gonna plug it in. Flick it on. Everything's working fine. It's like butter, baby. Everything looks good. All the colors are flowing like they're supposed to. It all looks good. I'm happy with it. Like I said, you can see the burrs on there. Just got to clean them up a little bit. But everything looks good to me. So, yeah. We're going to go ahead and get this shut off. And we'll go ahead and start working on getting everything together. Get that turned off. So, like I said, this is kind of where I left off with the other one, other than I have it bolted down. I have this already bolted down to that. That's kind of like where I left off on the other one, because I kind of wanted to have them cure at the same time so they'll both be ready. So, what I was talking about with that hole on the back. Alright, so with these lights, like I said, I'm going to put the link in the description. This is where that DRL light, those two the white and black wire came out for the DRLs. I just popped this plug out. Come on. Pop that plug out, and we're going to use that hole for our wires. Usually I would have to drill, but since these have like holes, and like these are like vent holes right here, we're going to use this hole. And since it was already for DRL, it's going to be for our new DRLs and our halo light. We're going to pull those through here, and then we're going to take that RTV silicone I have that I'm going to show you guys a little bit later, and we're going to seal that completely. So that's where it's going to seal off, and we're not going to have any leaking issues or any water damage coming in there. But we got that tested. I'm going to spend some time off camera, go ahead and getting these cleaned up a little bit, getting a heat gun on it, pulling all this extra glue off, and then I'm going to show you the RTV silicone that I use to seal that I've used on my last ones, and they turned out awesome. So I'm going to get this cleaned up and I'll get back with you guys. Alright, you guys, so my GoPro started messing up, so we're going to go ahead and just try to finish this out on my camera. So what we got here is a black adhesive sealant from Permatex. That's what I used on the last lights, and that's what I'm going to go ahead and use on these lights. Like I said, it worked out pretty good. I put a pretty healthy amount in this. I recommend wearing gloves because that stuff will not come out of your hands like immediately. It takes a while. You gotta scrub your hands pretty hard. So I got the light. It's all in. I already tested them. Made sure they work. Cleaned them out a little bit. There's still some glue from last time, but I got most of it out. It shouldn't be an issue. But I'm gonna go ahead and get a healthy dose of it in. Like I said, I'm going to try to get as much as I can. And then I also have, for precaution, I also use this clear adhesive sealant. So basically, I'm going to let this sit overnight. To let this cure fully, it's about, you want to let it sit for 24 hours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this in the little valley and then put the lid on it and then have it sit. And then I'm going to go over it with the clear on the outside because you're not going to see any of it regardless. But I like to put the clear on just in case, like I missed a spot or something, or maybe there's a hole. But I always like to add this clear on top just for my peace of mind, I guess. So I'm not going to bore you guys with this. I'm just going to go ahead and add this in, and I'll show you what it looks like afterwards, and I'll get back to you. Alright, so I went ahead and took the time and got it all sealed up with the Permatex. I went all the way around the edge. I honestly recommend getting like 2 or 3, minimum of 2 tubes, because it does go pretty fast, and you want to make sure you get a healthy amount in there so that it really sits in. I like to have enough in there so when you push it on, it seems like it's kind of like flowing out the edge a little bit, just a little bit, because you want to make sure it's sealed. And like I said, the extra protection with adding the clear over after that one seals is good. I'm gonna wait a couple hours. Well, I'm actually gonna go ahead and do the other one. I'm not gonna show you guys that. This is the same process. I'm gonna wait a couple hours and then I'm gonna come back and add the clear so they can sit overnight. I gotta work in the morning, so I'll let them sit overnight, and by the time I get home from work tomorrow, it'll probably be around 18 hours that they've been sitting, and then I can go ahead and try to make sure I seal up the wires. I'm not gonna do the wires tonight because I want the lids to seal perfectly before I actually get to the wires, because there's gonna be a lot of movement and I don't want to do that. So I usually take a couple extra days just to make sure everything works out fine and nothing goes wrong. So I'm gonna go ahead and reseal the other one, and like the clips, you want to push the clips back over, like all the clips that you move when you were heating it up, push them back over so that they're clipped back in as best as you can, so that helps hold it together. I'm also gonna use some painter's tape and wrap it around the lens and try to hold it on. Give it a little extra pressure. It's not going to be a lot, but it's a little bit. And definitely wear gloves doing this. Like I said, this stuff's on my hands. Got on my hand on accident, and it's going to be tough to get off. And definitely wear clothes you don't want to mess up. I actually love this shirt. This is my toe shirt, Cletus McFarlane. And I just messed it up. But I wanted to get this done, so it was for a good cause, I guess. But definitely, and I also keep denatured alcohol close by so I can clean off. Like if I get it on the lens, I can clean it off real quick, and it's not that bad. It's not that big of a deal. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this sit for a couple of hours, and I'm gonna go ahead and get the other one done. And then, like I said, I'm gonna let it sit for a couple of hours, like 3 or 4 hours. And I'm gonna come back and throw it clear around the edge just to make sure it all looks good. And I probably don't have to show you guys that. It's just basic, like literally just go around the rim and force it down into the creases around the whole thing just to make sure it seals up, just so you have that double protection. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll show you guys probably by the end of the night where I am, and I'm gonna test them out, make sure they're both working correctly. I already tested the lights to make sure they're all working good. I'm gonna have them both going and show you how to do it, and that'll basically be how to do this. That's not that hard. It's definitely time consuming, and you have to take your time and just be vigilant of what you're doing. You can't just go in here and just do it blindly. You actually got to focus and make sure you're ready for it. But like I said, I'm gonna let this sit for a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other one, and then I'll get back to you later whenever I am able to test them out. So I'll catch you guys in a few hours. Alright, you guys, so it's actually the next day. I got tired and I just went ahead and went to sleep. So before I went to sleep though, I actually came back over the lights and added the clear sealant. As you can see, kind of like the whitish gray spots. It's not going to be like the prettiest thing in the world. It really isn't. It's going to be a little bit messy. And that's why I say wear gloves. But I'm also going to go ahead and go over this one more time with this clear sealant. And just make sure it's really sealed up real good. Because you do not want water getting into these things. Because that will completely suck. But I'm going to go ahead and add sealant to this again. The clear sealant on the outside. And none of this is going to be seen because it's going to be under your bumper. And only you would know. But like I said, it's not going to be the prettiest work in the world, but it works. Promise you. That's what I did with the last ones. And I'm also, like, they were out of that actual adhesive black sealant that I used. So I went ahead and grabbed the ultra black like gasket maker, all resistant. So I grabbed that because that's what they had at Walmart at the time. I went to a few different ones and that's all they had. I couldn't find the actual black sealant one that I used, but it works the same. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and also, remember I told you to pull those wires through the hole in the back. So these are where your wires are gonna come out, right here, that little back that we popped out. I'm gonna add the gasket sealer right there, and you want to try to spread the wires out and get it in between as well, so that you can know it's sealed all the way through. So I spread the wires out, put some in between, put them back together, spread it over the hole to make sure it's all covered nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to let it sit. Like I said, this usually is like a 2-day process if you do it all in one day, but I'm kind of taking my time with these just to make sure everything goes well. So it's going to be like 3 or 4 days actually, because I want to make sure it's going to be fine. But I'm going to go ahead and get those sealed up, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like after, and I'm going to let it cure all day before I add a second layer, and then that's pretty much going to be it. And I'll show you guys how everything turns out when it's all done, and show you all lit up and everything. Probably not going to show you them in the car right away because I don't know when I'm actually going to put them in. I got a lot of stuff I'm trying to do to the car. I don't know if I'm going to put these in and then take the bumper off and put it back on and then just do everything else later. But we'll see how time goes. We'll see how it goes in this video. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get these sealed up, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like after. So I went ahead and put my first little layer of this sealant on there, and like I said, this is a messy job, so it's not something that if you really just think you're gonna be all clean doing, it's not gonna happen. I got them both sealed up pretty good. I spread the wires out, and like I said, it's not gonna be the prettiest thing in the world. It really isn't, but I got them spread out and put some in between it. Like I said, that's how you make sure you get like all those little air pockets. And I just spread it out with my finger with the glove. And this one's actually not that hard since the hole's not that big. It makes it a lot easier to go ahead and get it sealed up. So what I do is I let it sit on there until it starts to actually solidify. And then I'll go back over it with a second layer of the sealant just to have that added protection, man. Like I said, you can't put too much, really. You can't be too cautious with something like this because you don't want it to leak or anything and get water in it. So, like, definitely want to make sure you get it all between the wires and everything. But I'm going to let that sit for a few hours, and then I'm going to come back and do another layer, and then it should be all good. I'm going to have them lit up for you guys and show you how they look. And like I said, depending on how everything goes with my car and everything, I might take it apart and throw these in and then just do stuff later. But as of right now, I'm just going to go ahead and show you them lit up on the table and show you how excited it is to have them. But we're gonna let these sit for about 2 or 3 hours, and they should get pretty solid by then. It fully cures in, I believe, 12 hours. No more air pockets or anything, just so I can make sure.